Hello everyone, I am Dr. Manish Kumar Bhardwaj from School of Engineering and Technology of IGNOU. Today we will discuss deformation behavior of hardened concrete. In previous lecture we discussed about the properties of hardened concrete, and in that continuity now we will be discussing the deformation behavior of hardened concrete. Hardened concrete undergoes various types of deformation. Like many other structural material, it can be elastic to a certain extent. With sustained loading, means keeping the load constant with time, the deformation in concrete specimen may keep on increasing with time, which may be called as creep deformation. Concrete undergoes shrinkage independent of loading while drying, and this deformation is known as shrinkage deformation. Under normal range of stresses, all these deformations may be considerable and hence to be accounted for while determining the deflection of structure. So this is the importance of knowing the deformation behavior of the hardened concrete. A cylindrical concrete specimen of 150 mm diameter and 300 mm height is subjected to uniaxial compression. The stress at various stages of loading is determined by dividing the load with cross-sectional area, and strain is determined from the dial gauge fitted with the specimen. So this is the procedure how we measure the deformation. And if you plot that stress versus strain curve for this concrete, then you will get such type of graph as shown in this picture. On x-axis you see the strain, on y-axis you see the stress, and you see that for initial portion, for a small initial portion, the curve is linear. After that it is a curve shape and going up to a maximum stress sigma max, and after that it is falling. So the initial stage of the curve is fairly linear, while subsequent part becomes non-linear, reaching a maximum value as you saw in the graph, and then a non-linear descending portion till such time the concrete finally fails when the test conducted under uniform rate of strain. So this is the pattern of this graph. If a uniform rate of stress is adopted, it will not be possible to obtain the descending portion of the stress-strain curve beyond the maximum value of the stress. Descending portion of the curve will also not be recovered if testing is done in a rigid machine. In fact, in the descending part, strain is increasing with decrease in stress, that is without any external work being done. In a flexible machine like present-day universal testing machine, the external work is done by the machine by releasing the strain energy in the machine stored during the initial part of the testing. However, the stress-strain relation shown in the graph is not unique and is not a fundamental property of concrete. In fact, this curve very much depends on the rate of loading. If the rate of loading is very fast, the recorded strain are greatly reduced as sustained loading deformation, that is a creep, is very less, and the curve becomes steeper with curvature being extremely small. On the other hand, if the loading rate is slow, recorded strain increases due to more creep strain and the curve bends towards right more. Many a time, a major assumption is made in approximating the stress-strain curve to a straight line, that is, treating the concrete as linearly elastic material. This approximation is used in working stress method of design of a structural concrete without much loss of accuracy up to about 50% of maximum stress. So if you are going up to the 50% of the maximum stresses, then there will be not much error. Concrete is not strictly elastic in the sense that if it is unloaded after being stressed to only 50% of ultimate load or less, a permanent set is noticed. As you see from this graph, here time and deformation graph is given for the concrete. The initial portion from B to C, from A to B, then B to C, then this is under the constant load. Then under unloaded condition, there is a fall from C to D, and then graph goes to D to E and finally F. The magnitude of permanent set gradually decreases with more cycles of loading and unloading within 50% of ultimate load, and the stress strain curve tend to become a straight line. The creep deformation of concrete also varies linearly with sustained stress up to a value of 50% of ultimate stress. Hence, for all practical purposes, the concrete could be considered as a linear elastic material when it is loaded within 50% of ultimate load. Means within this limit, you can consider concrete as a linear elastic material. The term Young modulus of elasticity can strictly be applied only to the straight portion of the stress strain curve. In the case of concrete, since no part of the plot is straight, the value of E is determined with reference to the tangent drawn to the curve at the origin. So this way you can get the modulus of elasticity. The modulus found from this tangent is referred to as initial tangent modulus. This gives satisfactory result only at low stress value. The determination of initial tangent modulus is not easy, but an approximate value can be obtained by drawing it parallel to secant of the stress strain curve on unloading. So this way you can get this value. Here you see the stress strain curve, the loading portion and unloading portion. As I told you that if you draw a tangent at the initial portion, then you can get the initial tangent modulus. And this can be done by drawing it parallel to the secant of the modulus shown in the figure. Repeated loading and unloading will remove the creep, and stress strain curve will become almost a straight line, which will be taken as parallel to the initial tangent modulus. The tangent can also be drawn at any other point on the stress strain curve. The modulus of elasticity calculated with reference to this tangent is then called tangent modulus. The tangent modulus also does not give a realistic value of modulus of elasticity for the stress level much above or much below the point at which the tangent is drawn. The value of modulus of elasticity will be satisfactory only for a stress level in the vicinity of the point considered. This is the limitation. The modulus of elasticity can also be expressed through a line drawn connecting a specified point on the stress strain curve to the origin of the curve. If the modulus of elasticity is calculated with reference to the slope of this line, the modulus of elasticity is referred to as secant modulus. So this is secant modulus. This modulus, that is secant modulus of elasticity, is the most commonly used in practice. There is no standard method of determining the secant modulus. Sometimes it is measured at stresses ranging from 3 to 14 Newton per mm square, and sometimes the secant is drawn to the point representing a stress level of 15, 25, 33 or 50% of ultimate strength. Since the value of secant modulus decreases with increase in stress, the stress at which the secant modulus has been found out should always be stated. because this value is related to the stress considered. Now let us see the factors affecting modulus of elasticity. The modulus of elasticity of concrete increases approximately with the square root of its compressive strength. It also depends upon the state of wetness of concrete specimen during the testing. Wet concrete will show higher modulus of elasticity than dry concrete. Also, richness and age of concrete influence the modulus of elasticity of concrete. Richer the mix and older the concrete, more will be the modulus of elasticity. The quality and quantity of aggregate has significant effect on modulus of elasticity of the concrete. Modulus of elasticity of concrete lies in between the same for paste and aggregate. Means, if you consider for modulus of elasticity of paste and modulus of elasticity of concrete, here the modulus of elasticity of concrete will lie between the modulus elasticity of paste and the modulus of elasticity of aggregate. Here you see the stress strain curve for paste and aggregate, and as I told you, for concrete it is lying between that for paste and the aggregate. Now let us consider the creep of concrete. When a concrete specimen is loaded, there will be deformation immediately, which on unloading can be recovered. This deformation is called elastic deformation. This you can see from the portion AB of this graph. If load remains at constant level, the deformation will keep on increasing with passage of time, the rate of deformation being reduced with time, as it is clear from the portion BC of the figure. The gradual increase in deformation and hence strain under constant load with time is due to creep. Creep can thus be defined as the increase in strain under a sustained stress, and since this increase can be several times as large as the strain on loading, creep is of considerable importance in structural mechanics. Creep can also be viewed from constant strain than constant stress. If the restraints are such that a stressed specimen is subjected to constant strain for a span of time, the specimen will relieve some of its stress progressively with time. The phenomenon is known as relaxation, which you can see from the figure here. With age, the stress is decreasing. Creep in concrete occurs due to movement of internal crystal absorbed water, due to squeezing or due to shear deformation between the crystals. On removal of load, some of the driven out internal crystal water may come back, but not fully. Hence, creep deformation is not recoverable fully. As the movement of internal crystal water is slow, both creep deformation as also recovery is slow. Under normal load conditions, the instantaneous strain recorded includes some of the early creep, but it is not of practical importance as it is the total strain which matters. Also, modulus of elasticity of concrete increases with time as strength increases, hence with passage of time elastic strain will be reduced. However, more often than not, the modulus of elasticity is not determined at different ages, and creep is simply taken as a strain in excess of initial strain. We have not considered the change in volume of concrete specimen with time due to drying. This is known as shrinkage of concrete. We have not considered the change in volume of concrete specimen with time due to drying. This is known as shrinkage of concrete. The specimen which is under constant load hence will undergo both creep and shrinkage deformation with time. So creep is therefore calculated as the difference between the total time deformation of the loaded specimen and the shrinkage of a similar unloaded specimen. Now let us see how creep is measured. Creep is usually determined by measuring the change with time in the strain of a specimen subjected to constant stress. The plot between T by C and T will give us the creep. T is the time under the load and C is the specific creep, means the creep strain per unit stress. This plot will be straight line and can be given by T by C equal to B into T plus A. Here B is the slope with T axis and A is the intercept on the T by C axis. You can see this graph. On x-axis you see the time T in days, and on y-axis the ratio of T by C. And with increase in time there is an increase in the T by C ratio. And the slope of this line will give us the value of B, and the intercept A is given here on the y-axis. If the creep after 1 year is taken as unity, then the average value of creep at later ages are, after 2 years if you see, you have to consider the factor of 1.14. After 5 years it will be 1.2. After 10 years it will be 1.26. After 20 years it will be 1.33, and after 30 years it will be 1.36 if we are considering the 1 year creep as 1. Now let us see what are the different factors which affect creep. First is influence of aggregate. Aggregate influences the creep through a restraining effect. The more the quantity of aggregate and more stronger is the aggregate, more will be the restraining effect. Now, influence of mix proportion. Amount of paste content and its quality is one of the most important factors influencing creep. As quality of paste depend on water cement ratio, the same affect the creep of concrete. Now let us see the influence of age. With time the gel becomes more in quantity and it becomes denser. So there is less scope for creep to occur in this matured gel than in comparison to the younger gel. Hence with age creep reduces. Now let us see the shrinkage and temperature effect. In addition to the deformation due to load, concrete specimen exhibit one more type of deformation which is known as shrinkage. Shrinkage is nothing but contractions suffered by concrete even under no load condition. The relative magnitudes of shrinkage, creep and elastic strains are of similar order. 3 types of shrinkage are recognized, namely plastic shrinkage, drying shrinkage and carbonation shrinkage. Let us first see the plastic shrinkage. Plastic shrinkage occurs just after the concrete is placed in the forms while concrete is still in a plastic state. Various types of water losses from the plastic mix such as evaporation, absorption by aggregate are the cause of plastic shrinkage. Reduction in volume caused due to this loss of water is obstructed by aggregates and reinforcement, causing cracks in the concrete to develop. Now the factors which lead to the plastic shrinkage are large surface of concrete being exposed to sun and drying wind. Second is high water cement ratio and subsequent bleeding. Third is unintended vibration or yielding of formwork. And fourth is rich mix causes more plastic shrinkage. This plastic shrinkage can be reduced by first covering the concrete with polythene sheet or using coating or by fog spraying. Plastic shrinkage cracks once developed can be removed by revibrating the concrete in a controlled manner. Also, use of air and training agents like aluminum powder, expensive agent, offset the effect of plastic shrinkage. High slump and over-sanded concrete should be avoided. Now let us see the dry shrinkage. Drying shrinkage takes place after the concrete has set and hardened. Most of it takes place in the first few months. The withdrawal of water from concrete stored in unsaturated air causes drying shrinkage. A part of this movement is irreversible and should be distinguished from reversible moisture movement caused by alternating storage under wet and dry condition. The rate of shrinkage decreases with time. The tests indicate that 15 to 30% of 20-year shrinkage occurs in 2 weeks, 40 to 70% in 3 months, and 65 to 80% in 1 year. So this is the effect with time. Now let us see what are the factors affecting the drying shrinkage. Age and relative humidity. The magnitude of shrinkage increases with time and reduction in relative humidity. How water cement ratio affects it? Shrinkage increases with increase in the water cement ratio. Also the cement content affects it. How? Shrinkage increases with cement content. It is not much affected by cement content if the water content per unit volume remains constant. Let us see how quality and quantity of aggregate affect. The aggregate particles help in restraining shrinkage. Harder the aggregate and more the quantity of aggregate, more will be restraining effect. The grading of aggregate may not directly affect shrinkage, but as it affects water cement ratio, the paste quantity, it certainly influences the shrinkage. Now let us see the effect of size and shape of a specimen. Both rate and ultimate magnitude of shrinkage increases with increase in surface volume ratio. How the type of cement affect it? Rapid hardening cement shrinks more, while low heat cement or Portland pozzolana cement shrinks less. Now let us see the effect of admixtures. Shrinkage increases with addition of calcium chloride and reduces with lime replacement. There are other factors also, such as high pressure steam curing reduces shrinkage considerably. Now let us see carbonation shrinkage. The carbon dioxide present in atmosphere reacts in the presence of moisture with calcium hydroxide, which is produced during hydration of cement to form calcium carbonate. The carbonate penetrates beyond the exposed surface of concrete very slowly. The carbonation is accompanied by increase in weight and shrinkage. Shrinkage occurs because calcium carbonate produced has less volume than original calcium hydroxide. Carbonation depends on rate of penetration of carbon dioxide, which in turn depend on the moisture content of concrete and relative humidity of the ambient atmosphere. The carbonation occurs mainly at intermediate humidities. Carbonation of concrete also results in increased strength and reduced permeability. It is so because water released by carbonation promotes the process of hydration, and also calcium carbonate reduces the voids within the cement paste. Now let us see the effects of shrinkage on concrete. Any form of shrinkage is harmful to concrete, both from strength and durability considerations and from serviceability of the structure consideration. When the shrinkage is restrained partly or fully due to internal restraints such as aggregates or reinforcement, or from external restraints, tensile stress is developed. and these tensile stresses lead to the development of shrinkage crack as concrete is weak in tension. When restraints provided are eccentric, such as difference in reinforcement at top and the bottom of the beam, warping will occur, which will cause deflection of the member. Suitable joints are to be provided to accommodate this contraction. There is an advantage of shrinkage also. What is that? It increases bond between concrete and steel embedded in it. And as you know that bond between the concrete and steel is of prime importance. So this way we have seen the deformation behavior of the concrete. I hope you have enjoyed it. So thank you for watching.